Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'm going to be showcasing a Tyrantrum Mega Lucario deck that I really did want to feature in the Perfect Order format, but sadly I got very much sidetracked by a lot of the other decks that came out in that set. So I've had to wait until Chaos Rising to really find the time to give it a go. And I think honestly it's a lot of fun. It is probably the best Tyrantrum variant that we have. Like the single price version with Barbaracle was okay when I tried it out, but I think having like the bit of extra oomph is kind of needed for Tyrantrum because until we get like that epic new stadium that's coming around in Pitch Black, which allows you to search your deck for 2 antique fossils and put them straight onto the bench, then, I do think Tyrantrum is sadly still a wee bit too slow. Like, you still have to find your antique fossils until we get there. So, yeah, what does Tyrantrum actually do, in case you're unfamiliar with the card? 108 HP, which is kind of a lot for a Stage 2 Pokemon. That's a single prizer. And it has the ability Tyrannical Gutsy, which is a very fun name for an ability, I will say. But it basically just means that if this Pokemon has any special energy attached to it, it gets 150 extra HP. So for maths dummies out there, that's just 330 HP. So, that's plenty. That's plenty of HP for a single prize Pokemon to be having. It's basically saying, you know what, okie dokie, I will do one better than you, and I'll have 330, which is, yeah, it's a lot of hit points to have. But yeah, Tyrantrum has a singular attack, Wreak Havoc, for fighting a Nicholas, does 160, and flip a coin to get tails. For each heads, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. Now, the mill effect is like a solid addition to this, but it's not like anything crazy. Like sometimes you might discard a really important resource like Night Stretcher, Boss's Orders, like the last attacker in your opponent's deck, which is highly unlikely, of course, but like sometimes you might get lucky and you might discard like 2 or 3 cards, but realistically, this is mainly just good in situations. Like it's not the best attack in the world, but it's more so here because we can just guarantee the 2 shots usually, and because Tyrannical Gutsy is keeping us alive, then we should be fine for a while. And this is supposed to be our mid to late game attacker. So essentially, what you're trying to do with this deck is the first 1, maybe 2 prize cards if you're lucky, but typically just the first prize card. You're going to want to try and take with Solrock, and then Lucario will take your next 2 prize cards, fingers crossed, either with a Aura Jab on a Meowth or a Pheasantipity or something like that, or a Mega Brave combo into a Mega Pokemon EX. So that's how we're going to take the next 2, 3 prize cards, and then Tyrantrum is basically just going to hoover up the last 2 or 3. So like I can't really call this a true Tyrantrum build because you'll play a lot of games with this deck, and if you do give this list a go, you will see what I mean. You will either win or lose a lot of games, probably just with Lucario before you actually ever get to Tyrantrum, just because of the slow nature of the setup. Now, that's not saying that Tyrantrum isn't useful, and it isn't just like a bad variant of the deck, of course, but like if you do want to play like a better variant of Lucario and you're not like super familiar with the Pokemon TCG, then I would recommend to start off with just playing like a very straightforward Mega Lucario build. This is more so like for those of you out there who just want to try out something a bit more on the rogue side. I want to give, Tyrantrum a go, basically. But yeah, Tyrantrum is a lot of fun, and it can close out games with like free 1-KOs on Meowth and Fez and stuff like that. But oh yeah, and Kangaskhan. But aside from that, it's unfortunately not very well positioned in the format just because there's a lot of grass running around, and again, it's just a bit too slow and not really doing a whole ton of damage. However, we can manipulate the damage in some paths because some of our trainers let us do that. We've got the Premium Power Pro, which will increase our damage by plus 30 for a turn, which is very nice. It does let us combo with the Solrock quite nicely, so we can just swing for 100 damage on Cosmic Beam, which is really cool. Or we can, like do Aura Jab for 160. We could do Mega Brave for 300, or even sometimes 330 if we get multiple in hand. So, stuff like that is really useful. And then if we can't 2-shot our opponent's Mega with 320, then we can increase this to 190 and then 2-shot them that way. So, that's really cool to see as well. So you do have to play Premium Power Pro in this deck. But yeah, we do also play, of course, 3 of the Antique Jaw Fossil, which is kind of an important card, but you realistically don't need it before like turn 3, realistically. Like the first 2 turns or so is going to be you trying to be aggressive with Lucario and Solrock, try and get some prize cards, get some energy on the board, and then Antique Fossil can come down and you can like go for the Tyrantrum plays for the mid to late game. And your opponent will hopefully be shaking in their boots when Tyrantrum gets set up because it's kind of a scary card. Well, that's a plan anyway, right? That's a plan. It's not going to work every single time, but that is the plan. We do also have a Hero's Cape in this deck, which is worth mentioning. It is the A-Spec of choice and the only other tool card in the deck, apart from Air Balloon. This gives us plus 100 HP, which, if we really want to, we could smack it on Lucario and give it 440 HP. Or we could give it to Tyrantrum, and then we will have the fabled 440 HP Tyrantrum fully set up and ready to go, which admittedly is like hard to pull off. Like I've done it maybe once in all the games that I've played with this deck, so like it's a bit of a pipe dream to be honest. But like once we get like the stadium in the next set, and we have like proper fossil decks that are easy to set up with Rampardos and stuff, I do think Hero's Cape will be much better. But like you could just swap this out for like Unfair Stamp for the early games, stuff like that. You know, your opponent gets aggressive, they kill Riolu, then Unfair Stamp would be decent. You know, you could perhaps play Secret Box in this deck. Like Secret Box isn't like a bad ace spec choice. Maximum Belt is pretty decent as well for letting you just do a ton of damage. So yeah, all options I would consider. I'm also playing 2 copies of Battle Cage, which is just here to give you a bit of protection against Dragapult, basically. I still think Dragapult's a pretty awful matchup for this deck because your poor Jaw fossils just get sniped all the time, which is, yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. But, you know, it is a fossil in the ground that's not alive, technically, so, like, you know, it kind of makes sense, I guess. But, you know, oh yeah, don't do the same mistake I made earlier where I attached a Hero's Cape to a Jaw fossil, thinking it would actually get the plus 100 HP. It doesn't work like that, because Jaw Fossil doesn't count as a Pokemon, which is, yeah, just don't make that mistake. Like, yeah, it counts as a Pokemon when it's in play, but for some reason it doesn't count as a Pokemon for, like, the purpose of tool cards and items, of course. So, you know, just don't make that same mistake. I'm also playing a new Special Red Card, so it isn't technically a Chaos Rising deck, I guess, but yeah, it's useful. You know, it just means that once our opponent has carried Lucario, we can hopefully disrupt our opponent. And, you know, we can find it with cards like Petrel. I would like to find room for other stuff in this deck, like maybe more Tarragon. Hilda's been a great addition, by the way. I do really like Hilda, especially having another Stage 2 line. Maybe something like the Great Tree spec could be a lot of fun. Maybe leaning all into Petrel and doing like Rocket Stadiums instead. That could be cool. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can play this, but I feel like this is the minimum Pokemon account. So it gets a bit sketch. Like maybe you could do less Lucario, but it gets a bit more like wonky and inconsistent. So I don't know about that. Oh yeah, for the basic energy, we play 7 fighting, and then we also play 4 additional special energy, Rocky Fighting Energy, which is just going to protect you from the effects of attacks. But yeah, that's Tyrantrum in a nutshell. It's definitely not the best deck I've ever showcased on the channel, but it is a lot of fun. And in a format where there's a lot of like hyper-competitive spread decks running around, and a lot of psychic decks, and a lot of grass decks, and sadly this one isn't very well positioned, but again, it is a lot of fun, and I like to play things casually sometimes. So yeah, let me know what you think about Tyrantrum Lucario down below. Have you been playing Tyrantrum lately? You've had a lot of luck with it. And yeah, thank you for watching. I still think we're in a pretty good position. Like, yeah, Mega Lucario might be damaged and is probably going to go down before my opponent is, yeah, before we're able to take true advantage over Tyrantrum, but I think we'll be okay. Now, unfortunately, we did draw the Solrock off the prize cards, which is really bad luck because I went and got the only other Solrock out of the deck earlier. So, yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. So we just got punished for not choosing Lunatone, but I think it was still correct to take Solrock. But yeah, in this situation, we can't really do much more than evolve up to Tyrantrum, which now has 330 HP, which is good for us. And then I will go ahead and attach an energy to the Tyrantrum. And then we're probably just going to go ahead and use Mega Brave, I want to say. Yeah, we just want a Mega Brave. I mean, we could bench Jaw Fossil. I don't think there's much reason not to at this stage of the game, just in case we top deck a Tyrant. But again, we can just Mega Brave, do 270. Nothing crazy here, but we will be able to finish them off with Tyrantrum at the very least. But I'm assuming what my opponent will choose to do in this situation is probably just retreat Incineroar and knock us out with the Ho-Oh. So, yep, that's what they're going to do. Pretty predictable play there. And then, yeah, with a Shining Attack. Although, actually, to be fair, I could have, like, saved Jaw Fossil just because it means it's less power for Incineroar. But, like, we could just discard Jaw Fossil next turn, so that's absolutely fine. But, yeah, basically, we just want our opponent to KO as much of our board as possible. So, we'll see what they get here. They do Poké Pad for Litten, so clearly they're favoring the Incineroar, which is fine. They will heal 50 from everything, actually, which is kind of annoying. But, yeah, let us give them a bit of extra protection. But thankfully, because we're already doing a chunk of damage with Tyrantrum, we're not in, like, a terrible position. And we'll still be able to finish off Incineroar after this. So as long as we just don't use another Lucario, basically, we're chill. Okay, like, we don't need to boss. That's, yeah. I mean, we could boss Ho-Oh, but I Actually, do we want to use boss? There is an argument to use boss here, actually. But then we can't finish off Ho-Ho next turn. That's really annoying. To be fair, this guy is going to be like a bit of a pain, so... Yeah, I mean, we're going to two-shot that guy anyway, so... Yeah, it's a bit annoying either way, like, but I think we should be okay. Alright, we discard a card, that's fine. Energy retrieval, not such a big deal. I mean, they're playing a million energy by the looks of it. Alright, let's see what we get for prizes. Something good, please. I would like to set up another Tyrant, but we did also discard one earlier, so... If we can find a Tyrant, that'd be great. So this guy's going to come in, he's going to do 240 damage to us. He won't do the burn because of our rock fighting energy, which is cool. But yeah, basically, we just want to finish this guy off with 2 prize cards, and we might end up taking the last KO with a Mega Lucario, potentially. Which is fine if we have to do that, like, that's not the end of the world, but it would be cool to show off another Tyrantrum. I just don't think we can actually get all the way up to Tyrantrum before that happens. But yeah, the opponent will use Blaze Blast here. Alright, they're just going to boss. Fair. Fair enough. Bit more scared of Riolu. Unfortunately for them though, carrying Riolu doesn't do much in this situation. It would if I had a Meowth or Pheasantipity on the bench, because then at that point they could, oh, they don't even KO it. Alright, okay, I see. Yeah, sure, buddy. Oh, is it to stall? I see. I suppose that's like a decent play, I guess. And I will attach energy. I will Lilies. Yeah, Lilies seems fine. Alright, cool, I guess. I think I will just retreat, you know. I could try and evolve, draw some cards, you know, but I think I'm okay with just doing this. Like, Tyrantrum's a big boy, he can handle himself. Okay with this guy. Be cool to get some heads here, just the one again. Bit sad. I'm patiently waiting for the game where Tyrantrum just flips like 6 heads in a row and destroys someone's deck, which is kind of unlikely, but it could happen one day. Alright, Tarragon Lilies, nice. And, yeah. So basically, my opponent's in a bit of a sticky situation here. Don't think they're going to be able to come back from this one. It wasn't a bad idea to boss the Riolu, to be honest. If I didn't have an energy or a way to find energy, then Riolu would be stuck, and that would give them an extra turn to do things. But at this stage in the game, I don't think they can really do much. Like, having to two-shot the really big Megas is kind of frustrating, and that would maybe give them a bit more time and power. But like, even if they rare candy this Litten, I still think we're in a more than favorable position, so... Alright, am I about to get paralyzed actually? I forgot about that. Yes, I am. Okay, I see how it is. We're gonna get paralyzed. Cool. Alright, fine. Although for some reason I am not paralyzed. Oh wait, never mind. It's because of the rock fighting energy. Alright, we're saved. Never mind. I completely forgot that was an effect of an attack. Never mind. Alright, okay. Tyrantrum, coming in clutch. Well, not really, but you know. Still, a decent showing. And he also flips tails again. Really? Come on, one game you've got to flip at least 3 heads. Surely. I'm pretty sure I just lose to weakness, right? I don't think there is a way that I can kind of crawl back from this, because I'm pretty sure, because like, yeah, because Gorgai's have resistance, then yeah, it's kind of annoying actually. Although, if we do get an energy next turn, we could boss the Fez, at least, for like another 2 prizes, but that doesn't exactly win us the game. I think what I've got to try and do is hope that they can't get to a boss's orders. I think that's how this goes. And I just keep like a single prize board state until I can get a Tyrantrum going, which seems, yeah, there's no way that's possible, right? I don't know. I don't think Tyrantrum is going to be the way to go here. I think what this is going to come down to is if my opponent can, like, boss Lucario. So yeah, we will lead with Solrock. We essentially just want to do energy boss plays, I guess. Just like try and stall them out. Because we've played 2 pros. We need to play 2 more, so I will Tarragon. We'll get these guys back because we need them all. Bench Riolu. And then we kind of just, yeah, we just have to bench this and hope for the best. There's literally no point in playing Hero Escape. There's no point in evolving because they just one-shot us anyway. So, essentially... Actually, no, they just win anyway, so like we can evolve, that's fine. Yeah, I think we just have to evolve. Hope for the best. Maybe I should have put Air Balloon on Solrock actually, but that's fine. So yeah, we do technically have game in hand, but like it requires our opponent to just not have a boss's orders, basically. Which is kind of a shame. Like, it is a bit unfortunate that a lot of the Pokemon TCG now comes down to who has boss's orders for the last few prize cards. Which is, yeah, it's not super fun game design, and it's why I've been like branching out into other TCGs lately and not doing as much Pokemon content, but like, there is still some like fun Pokemon decks out there, and still a lot of fun to be had with the format, but yeah. Boss's orders just feels a bit rough. Right, I don't think they'd be doing all this if they didn't have the boss, so we'll see what they do here. But yeah, I could have like not evolved and then just put an energy down, but I think this is okay. So yeah, I do think actually that's enough for us to win potentially, because unless they have a peaking red card, okay, they don't have a special red card, so we do just win. Kind of frustrating we never got to Tyrantrum in time, but I think with them being so aggressive, I wasn't expecting them to take so many prizes so quickly. That's fine though. That is fine. My voice is going. I've been trying to record videos for a while now. Well, that was a bit of a strange game. Definitely a bit of a strange game. But we can go ahead... Okay, there's Tyrantrum. We can go ahead and Hero Escape Lucario. Whack an energy on. Premium Power Pro. And then Skadoosh. So if they had 10 more HP, they would have survived, but... Yep, just the way it goes sometimes. Again, though, very frustrating. We didn't have a chance to use Tyrantrum, but maybe in the next game.